Many thanks for joining us on Aso Morning this beautiful Monday. I hope you had a wonderful weekend and it was restful. But if you didn't find time to relax, we'll get into the papers and the week has begun and there's so much more to give you, to unbalance you if you are not mentally ready. So always find time to relax so that nothing puts you off. You come from a relaxed, refreshed mind. I had a restful weekend, and that's probably why I'm sitting on this high horse telling you all about the benefits of relaxing. Welcome to the Monday edition of the program. I am Dr. Joy Asonye, welcoming you and happy once again to be back. Here on Aso Morning, we'll start with a newspaper review segment where we go through papers, analyze those papers, and after that, today is Monday, we would go join Ebaide with Sustainability Pulse. Remember the segment that constantly gives us those important updates around environment, climate change, environmental adaptability, and everything in between. After that would be our own Daniel Black, who would come give us update again, this time in agriculture, how you too can support government's drive to food security. Very important. I mean, I can't say too much. Look at our agricultural sector. It's very sad because Nigeria enjoys arable land that we have that should feed the world. Yeah, that's me being pompous about my country, but I think that's it. I think Nigeria should be known for the many agricultural and natural resources that we have, and agricultural product that we could be giving to the world. But it is what it is, right? Well, Daniel Black would come back here, encourage you to contribute, remind you of how you can be a part of this drive. And that'll be it for Aso Morning. Promises to be very interesting. We'll go for a short break now. When we come back, it will be time for the program proper.
We are a nation blessed with people of diverse cultures, religions, languages, and opinions. It is ironic that we are now being ripped apart by our greatest strength, our diversity. We have allowed intolerance, insensitivity, bigotry, and nepotism to blind our vision of the greatness we can achieve working together as one. We may not have the same culture, nor religion, nor language, but we all belong to the same nation by the divine will of God. We did not choose to be Nigerians. Nigeria chose us. This nation is our divine heritage, and if we open our eyes, we would realize that what divides us pales in comparison to what unites us. And by the comparison and conciliation of our differences, we will grow until our differences disappear. Our unity cannot be wielded by mere declarations, nor do we get unity by ignoring the questions that beg for answers. We must celebrate our diversity and debate our differences without fracturing our unity. Our strength is not in our numbers, but in our unity, because even the weak become strong when united. Nigeria unite.
This message is brought to you by Abuja Broadcasting Corporation, owners and operators of Aso Radio 93.5 FM Abuja, Aso Television DSTV Channel 392, Star Times Terrestrial Channel 127, Free TV Channel 507, People's TV Channel 285, and UHF Channel 38.
Welcome back from that. Now we go straight to the newspaper this morning, and we would start with the Vanguard newspaper. The Vanguard newspaper has here as its lead headline, and what we often call screaming headline. It says, "Silent killer, soaring drug costs, ignorance fueling hypertension deaths." Soaring drug costs, ignorance, fueling hypertension, death. Before I get to the analysis, I'll just quickly go through the rundown here. The writers here says, over 41 million Nigerians at risk as hypertension cases surge. Over 41 million Nigerians at risk as hypertension cases surge. Patients forced into deadly drug holiday as treatment becomes unaffordable. Experts warn of national emergency as sudden death spikes nationwide. We are addressing the problem, the federal government is saying. Okay. On a couple of weeks ago, a month ago really, when we celebrated the World Hypertension Day, I remember the doctor who came on that day told us one of the biggest challenges they were facing was the drug holiday, where a lot of people could not take their drugs routinely. And it's not just in hypertension. Diabetic patients are unable to afford these drugs any longer. They can't take it routinely because they have to give themselves a drug holiday. They space it in ways they can afford just so that they can get by. A lot is happening. Inflation is touching every single commodity, even the pharmaceuticals. And it's really sad when we bring health to this. Like I said earlier, it's not just it's not just hypertension, routine drugs. I remember such a time where parents were expecting parents were giving routine drugs. Pregnant women were giving routine drugs and all that for those for free. But now you hear people say, oh, I'm going to have to pay it. Oh, I didn't buy it because I don't have money. It may seem like, oh, it's small. How much could it possibly be? The routine drugs you were buying some time ago, everything, I'd say that would last you for a month, I'd say 2,000 naira, has spiked, tripled that price. And you're asking women who are feeding from hand to mouth already as it is. So the government really has to do something about hypertension drugs and these drugs that a lot of people really need literally to survive. It's sad that we are reading about the soaring drug costs. I don't know, if you ask me now who I go ask, because I don't even know what I would expect. If you ask me, I would say a subsidy for pharmaceuticals, especially in pharmaceuticals basically, because Nigerians are suffering. Healthcare facilities are not readily making these things available. I mean, government healthcare facilities do not even have some of these drugs to give, and so they have to be at the mercy of private facilities that of course would want to make more money than a typical government. So it's really sad. I hope the government does do something about it, addresses the problem, and it's not some political statement to calm all of us down. Okay, so unprecedented windfall as stock investors gained 25.7 million naira in 7 months. Domestic investors eclipse foreign counterparts. Experts call for caution as price correction looms. That's in finance. Killings. Benue leaders seek EU, UK, US intervention. Benue leaders seek EU, UK, US intervention. This is one of those very embarrassing stories that you hear, where a sovereign state as Nigeria, a unit in a sovereign state like as Nigeria, is not trusting the government, that its government enough to tackle internal security issues. Benue leaders, I'm sure they are so overwhelmed and helpless that at the moment are asking for EU, UK, US to give them some succor, for help, because the killings they find too much. I read that story. I was really sad. At no point, this is a country that will send troops in other parts of the world to ensure peace. Nigeria sends troops to ensure peace in other African countries. What's going on that we are so overwhelmed in Benue State? that we cannot tackle the incessant attacks that's going on. If it is non-kinetic ways, please let's just give the Benue people succor. It is unfortunate, and at the moment I can understand the helplessness that would drive the Benue people to reach out to the US, reach out to the EU. And again, when I was analyzing with a couple of people here on the show, the visa restrictions that these countries have given, this is the image that we portray. We are helpless, our government is not doing enough, we are suffering and all that. Is there a way that we could have a more reinforced fight against these should I say unknown gunmen, should I say killer headers, what would I even call them? Should I call them bandits or kidnappers, or outrightly just say they are terrorists? Because how can you constantly put a state in such volatile place where people are dying every day? I remember that call where the call that got the government's attention after what in local palace they will say initial gragra, after the president visited that's the NSA, the National Security Advisor was there, Chief of Army Staff. After all of that, the killings have not stopped, and it is really unfortunate. And that is why sometimes when you listen to speculations, conspiracy speculations, that there's more to some of these attacks and the government is not doing too much. But I do not believe that there's any conspiracy theory per se, because I mean we had President Buhari who was from the north, and we were having this crisis. And here again we have President Tinubu, who is from the west. So if it was a northern agenda, President Tinubu is of the west. So I fail to understand why this crisis persists, but I would say the government really needs to do more. We cannot invite machineries from all over the world and make ourselves so porous. I know that I don't think the US will want to meddle until our government, the federal government, reaches out, but it is really, really sends a message, one that makes some of us who read these stories very sad, very, very sad. Okay, moving away from that story right there, above the masthead of the Vanguard, it says here, Ojulari's alleged exit. Presidency and NPCL silent heightens confusion. That's on page 10 of the Vanguard newspaper. Obi to Soludo, my one-term, 4-year vow sacrosanct. I don't know if you also stumbled today or yesterday, I think over the weekend really, of the governor of Anambra State. Well, it wasn't really clear. He was just talking about politicians who claim that they would do a one-term. Politicians always will come and say, you know what, just give me one term, I will do everything that I've told you, you would see the changes and all of that. And when they want when the 4 years is expiring, you hear other stories like one term can never be enough for the long-term sustainable development I hope to bring to the state. And you ask yourself, okay, you had calculated all these things and decided it was one term you needed. The most insulting is often when they come to say, I didn't want the second term, but my people who I have ruled with, who are enjoying my leadership, have now bought nomination forms for me. Have gone on, have consulted me and pushed me to run for the second term. So it's not him. He wanted to keep his promise. His people. So we've heard this over and over again. One term. Oh yes, I'll just come for one term. While Obi insists that it is sacrosanct, it is something he really wants to do. Soludo isn't having it. Soludo is not having it. And Obi does not have an option than to promulgate a one term at the moment because, I mean, that's, it will come from the south, right? We already have President Tinubu in the south, so Obi would only have a one term naturally should he emerge. I mean, when you follow the federal character calculations. So it's interesting times, like I always say here on the show. 2027 rather is just by the corner, and interesting times. We are not borrowing for 712.3 billion naira Lagos Airport project. Keamu, that's the Minister of Aviation and Aeronautics, is saying that. No zone in North marginalized by Tinubu, Kaduna governor is saying. I think it's a bit to counter what the presidential candidate of the NNPP from at the 2023 elections, that Senator Kwankwaso had said earlier, where he said there's lopsidedness in development, that the North is marginalized by the Tinubu administration. We've been hearing counter statements to that. I remember and that's the problem I have with this government, where it takes a conversation like that to have a response from the government, when we could possibly have had a more vibrant communication. It was only when Kwankwaso alleged that the North is being marginalized that we saw the presidency respond and reel out all the many things this government is doing. A lot of Nigerians do not see these things, and it gives rooms for speculation. For some of us who are PR experts and crisis management experts and communication people, I would always say, why do we let that gap and then do crisis management instead? What is happening to the Ministry of Information? What is happening to the ministry, the National Orientation Agency? What's happening with government spokespersons? Why are we not seeing vibrant engagement with the public? There is a policy that has to come up. The government is thinking, look at the tax policy, for instance. The tax regime that this presidency has a lot of benefits to it. But because the narrative of Tinubu's administration has come, it wants to tax us even further. It doesn't even tax the common man more. If anything, it gives exemption. But I sometimes listen to people and they go ahead and talk about how Tinubu is imposing more taxes on Nigerians. Tinubu is doing this, Tinubu is... And I wonder, there's only so much we in the media can do in enlightening, but we also need these spokespersons to know what their jobs are, their owners as spokespersons. We need them, the NOA, to do more in enlightenment. There's nothing wrong with NOA constantly in the media and talking. And I do not believe that the NOA needs a platform in its own. I think the NOA, based on what it is, can collaborate with other platforms to ensure that this information is out there, engagement is vibrant with people, town hall meetings if possible. Are you not clear about this policy? Let's have a conversation. We're in the social media era where information should be seamless. If you think Nigerians do not know anything about certain aspects of government or governance or whatever, why don't you even put it on your platform? Put it on your platform. Like I always say, I think intentionality is what we lack in our governance, where people don't even know their roles. You call a spokesperson, you call an essay to the government, and what they tell you is they just want to drum the beauty about the government, and its surface. You're not getting to the crux of the matter, especially for Nigerians who, by the way, are very intelligent people. You see them dance around their principal, and I ask myself, is that your job? You're wearing his cap and his clothes and with the ring emblem, and I ask myself, is that your job? Wouldn't your principal respect and appreciate you more if you were doing your job, and because of that Nigerians know better? If you as SA cannot even communicate the policies behind the government, and that's the sector you are, the SA to the president or SA to whoever on. So what is your job? Is it by wearing his emblem? Okay. Afenifere to Southwest governors leverage on UN recognition to equip Amotekun. Leverage on UN recognition to equip Amotekun. And that's it from the Vanguard newspaper. Quickly, we move on to the Daily Times. Okechukwu to Yilwada on APC. Beware of the waiting banana peel. Beware of the waiting banana peel. You know what they say, you throw a banana peel, be very careful, you could come back and sleep. Okay, and that's what is being said there. Okay, we have other stories here. 40% Nigerians remain unbanked despite fintech boom. That's coming from experts. 40% Nigerians remain unbanked despite fintech boom. But 40% is a good one. The dragnet was even worse before the fintech boom. We saw instances, in fact, if we could give Emefiele any kudos, it is that he got us to a point where a lot of people now have accounts. You want to buy the smallest things, and the person is telling you, well, if you do not have cash, I could do a transfer. And that's what we've been having there. I guess thanks Emefiele for improving the dragnet in the unbanked. States should take greater responsibility for internal security. Enang is saying that parents in panic, withdrawal of words after brutal attacks at Lafia Varsity. That's an unfortunate story right there. Parents in panic, withdrawing their words as brutal attacks at Lafia Varsity. NHRC condemns closure of Badegi Radio, says it's affront to democracy. That story is on page 6 of the Daily Times newspaper. Finally, right above the masthead, we had taken this story earlier. Federal government's proposed 712 billion naira airport renovation wasteful. Misplaced priority, ADC is saying. It's sweet how ADC now has a voice. It's very interesting that ADC that we haven't been hearing about before, but with the coalition, they seem to be gaining momentum. Now we move on to the Leadership newspaper this morning. The Leadership here is leading with the story, ACF rejects Peter Obi's reiterated one-time pledge. ACF rejects Peter Obi's reiterated one-term pledge, describes vow as mere political strategy. My word is my word is my bond, former Labour presidential candidate insists. And above the masthead of the Leadership newspaper this morning, it says, federal government extends deadline for NIS, NSCDC prisons recruitment. If you're wondering how to go enroll, please follow the official website and get the recruitment details and get to know how to recruit. Unfortunately, there are individuals who are also sharing sites that are not the real sites. If it takes you going to these offices to ask questions, please do so you do not get to one of those sites that will redirect you to something else. Like they say, may they no carry you go where you know. Good luck, Jonathan visits IBB in Mina. That story is on page 7 of the Leadership newspaper this morning. Okay, we have taken the 712 billion naira renovation, Lagos airport renovation. NAFDAQ seizes substandard drug, tomato paste worth 20.5 billion naira. Okay, that's a good one. Substandard drugs, tomato paste worth 20.5 billion naira. This is the kind of this is what we want more from NAFDAQ, so we do not have this substandard product in our shelves, which would, substandard is substandard for a reason. Man rescued after 10 hours under Abuja building oh my goodness, rubble. 10 hours. I don't even want to imagine the thoughts, what he was thinking, and what he must have been so traumatized. Unfortunately, when you see this building collapse, you would expect a quicker way, but you see humans trying to move this rubble with their hands, their bare hands. Whatever happened, is our fire service so unequipped that we do not have proper ways of evacuating? Whenever I think of this rubble, I've covered stories like this severally, I always shiver. Maybe because I'm a bit claustrophobic, but I can just imagine, and I'm happy this man is rescued. Rescued means he survived. So I am so happy that he survived, but 10 hours is indeed a lot. Katsina Emirate appoints 5 new district heads. Nigeria will soon experience divine restoration. That's coming from an Anglican primate. Nigeria's the Tigress clinched 5th consecutive FIBA Women's Afro Basket title. And the last story here, and at the footer of the Leadership newspaper, it says, North Head's key security officers can't claim marginalization. That's coming from the Kaduna State Governor. We had taken that, and I think it's in response to Senator Rabiu Kwankwaso's claim that this administration, the Tinubu administration, has marginalized the North. And it's really, like I said, that's what it took for us to get these responses, to get a response, especially from the presidency. Quickly, we move to the Punch newspaper this morning. 2027 tensions. APC kingmakers scramble for Quail state level uprising. APC kingmakers scramble to Quail state level uprising. Okay, factions, legal battles grip party stronghold. Party upbeat over crisis in Lagos, Rivers, Benue, Bayelsa, and others. There's trouble in the big boys table, I see. I mean, naturally, when you hear about a coalition of other political parties and bigwigs in Nigeria, it would definitely cause some chaos or some a squabble within the party, especially at state levels. I mean, the APC, even though we had for a very long time congratulated them or commended them rather for keeping their house together seemingly, I don't think they really have addressed some of the concerns that their party members have had. Some are still aggrieved or that appointments didn't go to individuals they're perceived to be more deserving. We've had that conversation before. There are some who are unhappy about those who even got there's so much going on the leadership structure. I don't know if Kwankwaso's or rather Ganduje should be brought back. For some reason, I feel like his leadership had a stronghold of the party. But then, who am I to know, right? It's only from what I see. Above the masthead of the Punch newspaper, fuel imports surged to 71% as marketers ditch local refineries. Fuel imports surged to 71% as marketers ditch local refineries. Again, this is indeed the healthy competition we always talked about. If you do not think you will use the local refinery, Dangote's refinery, it's okay to import your fuel, but prices would be more competitive. I know they've been going back and forth with a 5 naira difference in imported, but also I think the regulatory body, that is no longer the Nigerian Petroleum, okay, yeah, the Nigerian Petroleum Downstream Upstream Regulatory Commission now should do something about the quality of these products that keep coming in. That's what concerns a lot of Nigerians. And quickly, the last paper I'll be taking is The Guardian. And The Guardian leads with the story, slow digital integration, rivalry, Mars, NSW's odds ahead of first quarter take-off. Slow digital integration, rivalry, NSW's odds ahead of first quarter takeoff. Tension deepens at NNPCL as reform reforms, power struggle split stakeholders. AME, ADC slams Tinubu's 212 billion MMIA renovations misplaced priority. They say, that's on page 3 of The Guardian. Falana urges federal government to fund welfare programs, not luxury projects. And that's it for the newspaper review segment this morning. Like I told you earlier, Ebaide will be standing by with Sustainability Pulse coming up next. So stay with us. We'll be right back after this short break.
We are a nation blessed with people of diverse cultures, religions, languages, and opinions. It is ironic that we are now being ripped apart by our greatest strength, our diversity. We have allowed intolerance, insensitivity, bigotry, and nepotism to blind our vision of the greatness we can achieve working together as one. We may not have the same culture, nor religion, nor language, but we all belong to the same nation by the divine will of God. We did not choose to be Nigerians. Nigeria chose us. This nation is our divine heritage, and if we open our eyes, we would realize that what divides us pales in comparison to what unites us. And by the comparison and conciliation of our differences, we will grow until our differences disappear. Our unity cannot be willed by mere declarations, nor do we get unity by ignoring the questions that beg for answers. We must celebrate our diversity and debate our differences without fracturing our unity. Our strength is not in our numbers, but in our unity, because even the weak become strong when united. Nigeria unite.
This message is brought to you by Abuja Broadcasting Corporation, owners and operators of Aso Radio 93.5 FM Abuja, Aso Television DSTV Channel 392, Star Times Terrestrial Channel 127, Free TV Channel 507, People's TV Channel 285, and UHF Channel 38.
Africa stands at the front lines of the climate crisis. Over 600 million Africans still lack access to electricity. 1 in 3 face food insecurity due to climate-induced droughts and floods. By 2050, over 100 million people on the continent could be pushed into extreme poverty because of climate change. Plastic waste is piling, forests are vanishing, coastal cities are sinking. Yet, we are not powerless. Africa is also the youngest continent with 60% of its population under 25. We hold the energy, innovation, and drive to reshape the future. From solar-powered villages to bold climate tech, from green entrepreneurs to eco-warriors in slums and cities, the pulse of sustainability is rising. This is Sustainability Pulse with Ebaide, the show where truth meets urgency and action meets hope. Together, we decode the data, amplify the change makers, and reclaim Africa's future, one story at a time. This is not just a show, it is a movement. Welcome to the Pulse. Africa stands at the front lines of the climate crisis. Over 600 million Africans still lack access to electricity. 1 in 3 face food insecurity due to climate-induced droughts and floods. By 2050, over 100 million people on the continent could be pushed into extreme poverty because of climate change. Plastic waste is piling, forests are vanishing, coastal cities are sinking. Yet, we are not powerless. Africa is also the youngest continent with 60% of its population under 25. We hold the energy, innovation, and drive to reshape the future. From solar-powered villages to bold climate tech, from green entrepreneurs to eco-warriors in slums and cities, the pulse of sustainability is rising. This is Sustainability Pulse with Ebaide, the show where truth meets urgency and action meets hope. Together, we decode the data, amplify the change makers, and reclaim Africa's future, one story at a time. This is not just a show, it is a movement. Welcome to the Pulse. Africa stands at the front lines of the climate crisis. Over 600 million Africans still lack access to electricity. 1 in 3 face food insecurity due to climate-induced droughts and floods. By 2050, over 100 million people on the continent could be pushed into extreme poverty because of climate change. Plastic waste is piling, forests are vanishing, coastal cities are sinking. Yet, we are not powerless. Africa is also the youngest continent with 60% of its population under 25. We hold the energy, innovation, and drive to reshape the future. From solar-powered villages to bold climate tech, from green entrepreneurs to eco-warriors in slums and cities, the pulse of sustainability is rising. This is Sustainability Pulse with Ebaide, the show where truth meets urgency and action meets hope. Together, we decode the data, amplify the change makers, and reclaim Africa's future, one story at a time. This is not just a show, it is a movement. Welcome to the Pulse. Africa stands at the front lines of the climate crisis. Over 600 million Africans still lack access to electricity. 1 in 3 face food insecurity due to climate-induced droughts and floods. By 2050, over 100 million people on the continent could be pushed into extreme poverty because of climate change. Plastic waste is piling, forests are vanishing, coastal cities are sinking. Yet, we are not powerless. Africa is also the youngest continent with 60% of its population under 25. We hold the energy, innovation, and drive to reshape the future. From solar-powered villages to bold climate tech, from green entrepreneurs to eco-warriors in slums and cities, the pulse of sustainability is rising. This is Sustainability Pulse with Ebaide, the show where truth meets urgency and action meets hope. Together, we decode the data, amplify the change makers, and reclaim Africa's future, one story at a time. This is not just a show, it is a movement. Welcome to the Pulse.
Imagine a world where solving climate change creates not only a healthier planet, but millions of new jobs. The future of work is green, and are we ready? Welcome to Sustainability Pulse with Ebaide. I'm your host, and if you're listening to this, you're already ahead of the curve. Picture this with me for a moment. In 2030, you walk into an office. Maybe it's a solar panel installation company. Maybe you're designing sustainable fashion, or perhaps you're working remotely as a carbon credit analyst, for example. The air is cleaner, cities are greener, and most importantly, you're earning a living wage doing work that actually heals our planet instead of harming it. That's not science fiction, my friends. That's the green economy. And it's not coming today, it's already here. Today, we are diving deep into something that affects every single one of us. The future of work in a climate-conscious world. Whether you're a student wondering what to study, a parent thinking about your children's career prospect, or a professional considering a career pivot, this conversation is for you. Because here's the truth. The transition to sustainability isn't just about saving polar bears or wildlife. Though, yes, we love them, but it's about creating millions of jobs, building stronger economies, and yes, by all means, giving our young people hope for the future. And that's something that is actually worth working towards, you know. So grab your notebooks, settle in, and whatever it is you have to just note down something. And know that we're about to explore why going green might just be the smartest career move you will ever make. We'll go on a short break now, and once we are back after the break, we'll dive right in and hear the conversations on where we really are at the moment, what the statistics are, the numbers, and where we're headed. Stay with us and do not go anywhere.
Africa stands at the front lines of the climate crisis. Over 600 million Africans still lack access to electricity. 1 in 3 face food insecurity due to climate-induced droughts and floods. By 2050, over 100 million people on the continent could be pushed into extreme poverty because of climate change. Plastic waste is piling, forests are vanishing, coastal cities are sinking. Yet, we are not powerless. Africa is also the youngest continent with 60% of its population under 25. We hold the energy, innovation, and drive to reshape the future. From solar-powered villages to bold climate tech, from green entrepreneurs to eco-warriors in slums and cities, the pulse of sustainability is rising. This is Sustainability Pulse with Ebaide, the show where truth meets urgency and action meets hope. Together, we decode the data, amplify the change makers, and reclaim Africa's future, one story at a time. This is not just a show, it is a movement. Welcome to The Pulse.
Welcome back from the short break. And just before we went on break, we were talking about, the conversation we're about to have here today. The future is green. The future of work is green. And in no distant time, we would have so many people displaced from their work. So let me start with some numbers that should, sort of wake us up a bit. The world is in transition, whether we like it or not. Climate change isn't just melting ice caps and causing floods. It's reshaping entire economies and labor markets right before our eyes. According to International Labour Organization's latest report, the transition to a low-carbon economy will create up to 24 million new jobs globally by 2030. Yes, 24 million. That's more than the entire population of several countries combined, including our own Nigeria. But that is not all, and this is crucial. This same transition will also displace about 6 million jobs, particularly in carbon-intensive industries like oil and gas, coal mining, and traditional, manufacturing. Now, for those of us in Nigeria, this hits differently, very differently. We have over 53% youth unemployment. Read that again, 53%. More than half of our young people don't have jobs. But here's what I see when I look at those statistics. I see an opportunity. We have a chance to leapfrog into green innovation. We don't have to follow the same polluting path that industrialized countries took. No, we don't. We can build clean from the ground up, but only if we act boldly and only if we prepare our people, ourselves, for what's coming. See, climate change is forcing a global economic reset. Countries that position themselves as leaders in renewable energy, sustainable agriculture, and green technology will dominate the next century. You heard that. Those that don't will be left behind, importing solutions from countries that were smart enough to invest early. The question isn't whether this green transition will happen. It's already happening. The real question is, will we be the ones creating the solutions and earning from them, or will we be buying them from someone else? Now, Let's even understand what these green jobs are. It's very important, and I'll break it down. What exactly is a green job? Simply put, green jobs are roles that contribute to preserving or restoring our environment. But don't think this means you have to become a tree hugger or live off-grid. Yes, no, not at all. Green jobs are everywhere. Let me paint you a picture of what those opportunities actually look like. There's the solar panel technician installing clean energy systems on rooftops across Lagos. There's a waste management, professional designing recycling programs that turn our trash into treasure. We have environmental lawyers fighting for corporate accountability, sustainable finance experts helping banks invest in clean projects, and urban farmers feeding cities with vertical gardens. But here's where it gets really interesting. Green jobs aren't confined to what we traditionally think of as environmental sectors. No. The fashion industry needs sustainability consultants to reduce textile waste. The tech sector needs experts in greening, computing, and energy-efficient data centers. Architecture, for example, are hiring. Architectural firms are hiring specialists in green building designs. Even the entertainment industry needs professionals who understand how to make film productions carbon neutral. I recently spoke to a young woman here in Abuja, who pivoted from traditional marketing to becoming a sustainability communications specialist. Yes, she now helps companies tell their environmental stories authentically. Her salary doubled. Her exposure widened. And she told me, she said, she finally feels her work has purpose. I'll take the example of renewable energy innovators. In Kenya, for example, young entrepreneurs are creating solar-powered solutions for everything from phone charging to water purification. These aren't just jobs. They are businesses that solve real problems while creating wealth. The beauty of green jobs is that they operate at every skill level. You don't need a PhD in environmental science. No, you don't even need masters in environmental science. You need curiosity, adaptability, and a willingness to learn. Whether you're technically skilled, creative, analytical, or people-focused, there's a green path for you. And here's something that might surprise you. Many green jobs pay better than traditional counterparts. Why? Because the demand is high. It's very high at the moment. The skills are specialized. The companies are willing to invest in talent that can help them meet their sustainability goals. And that's the truth. A lot is happening. Let me bring you some climate news before we deep dive further. And this actually directly connects us to jobs and opportunity. In July 2025, it was actually recorded that as the hottest month ever by the World Meteorological Organization, we are currently experiencing something unprecedented. Yes. In Europe, for example, devastating floods right here in South Africa, and of course, even in West Africa as well, we have extreme weather events as well that are costing billions and displacing millions. These are real climate news. These are not facts. These are not false or, made up. But here's what many people do not realize. Africa contributes only 3 to 4% of global greenhouse gas emissions. Yet, we bear some of the worst impacts of climate change. This isn't fair, but does it represent us with a unique opportunity? Yes, it does. While other regions are struggling to transition away from fossil fuel dependent economies, we can build green from the start. We can be the solution providers, not just the victims. Nigeria has actually made some promising commitments. We've signed on to an energy transition plan. It's actually aimed at reaching net zero emissions by 2060. This plan, projects the creation of 340,000 new green jobs by 2030. That's nearly 340,000 opportunities for our young people. But, and this is a big but, we have serious barriers to overcome. First, there's a massive skills mismatch. Our educational institutions are still training students for 20th century jobs, while the 21st century economy demands green skills. And that's the truth. How many of our universities offer robust programs in renewable energy engineering? How many of them? How many vocational schools teach solar installation or sustainable agricultural techniques? Also, there's a lack of awareness. Many young people, many young Nigerians have never even heard of a career in sustainability. That's the truth. They know about traditional professions, doctors, lawyers, engineer, and and the likes. But ask them about becoming a carbon footprint analyst, for example, or a circular economy consultant, and you will get blank stares. You will definitely get people mopping because they have no idea. Our policy environment isn't fully aligned yet, and that's the truth. While we have good intentions at federal level, of course, with the passage of the Climate Change Act 2021, implementation at state and local levels is inconsistent. The ministries of labor, environment, and education need to collaborate effectively. But here's what gives me hope. I've seen what happens when young Africans get access to the right information and opportunities. We innovate. We create solutions that work for our context. We build businesses that thrive. The global market is hungry for African innovation in sustainability. That's the truth. International investors are looking for green projects in emerging markets. Development organizations are prioritizing climate adaptation and mitigation projects in Africa. The opportunity is here. That's the truth. It is here. And the funding is available. What do we need to do to actually access those funding? What we need is actually preparation. We need to get ourselves prepared. Last week, Tuesday and Wednesday, that's 29th and 30th of July, we had the Nigerian Bar Association ground young lawyers and, of course, old lawyers on the alignment and intersection between climate change and law. And, of course, the conversations were actually about bringing about opportunities for lawyers within the climate change space. You can imagine the thorns of opportunities that were actually discussed at that meeting. It was an enabling and, of course, an exciting one for lawyers. I mean, I'm a lawyer, and I know what I can do with my law degree, even beyond being in court or beyond sitting at a table and drafting agreements. There are a lot of opportunities in the green space we can actually tap as young people. So we'll go on a quick break now, and when we are back, we'll talk about other conversations around the future of work and the green jobs available. Stay tuned. Go nowhere. We'll be back shortly.
Africa stands at the front lines of the climate crisis. Over 600 million Africans still lack access to electricity. 1 in 3 face food insecurity due to climate-induced droughts and floods. By 2050, over 100 million people on the continent could be pushed into extreme poverty because of climate change. Plastic waste is piling, forests are vanishing, coastal cities are sinking. Yet, we are not powerless. Africa is also the youngest continent with 60% of its population under 25. We hold the energy, innovation, and drive to reshape the future. From solar-powered villages to bold climate tech, from green entrepreneurs to eco-warriors in slums and cities, the pulse of sustainability is rising. This is Sustainability Pulse with Ebaide, the show where truth meets urgency and action meets hope. Together, we decode the data, amplify the change makers, and reclaim Africa's future, one story at a time. This is not just a show, it is a movement. Welcome to The Pulse.
Welcome back to the conversation on the future of work. And of course, what opportunities we have within the green job space. Now, look at this quickly and briefly. The pandemic changed how we think about work. And the climate crisis is changing what we work to and how we do our work. Now, these two forces are creating a perfect storm of opportunity for those who are prepared. Remote work, for example, which was forced on us during COVID, has opened up global opportunities for skilled professionals anywhere in the world. A sustainability consultant in Lagos can now work with clients in London, in New York, in Brazil, name it. A renewable energy designer in Kano can collaborate with teams across different continents. But here's the key insight. The jobs of the future aren't just remote. They are purpose-driven. People, especially young people, want work that makes a difference. The great resignation that we saw globally wasn't just about working from home. No, it was about working for something meaningful. And companies responding. Over 80% of Fortune 500 companies now require sustainability knowledge in the hiring criteria. Yes, check it out. They're not just hiring traditional environmental professionals. They want marketers who understand green messaging, accountants who can track carbon costs, and project managers who can lead sustainability initiatives. The United Nations Green Economy Report shows that every $1 million invested in renewable energy creates 2.7 times more jobs than the same amount invested in fossil fuels. This isn't just about being environmentally responsible. It's about economic multiplication. Now, let me give you some specific examples of where the opportunities are exploding. In renewable energy, for example, we need technicians, salespersons, project managers, and financiers. In sustainable agriculture, for example, we need agronomists, logistics experts, the market analysts. In the circular economy, we need designers, engineers, and business model innovators. But it's not just technical roles. It actually means a lot of things and actually embodies a lot of things. The green economy needs storytellers who can communicate complex environmental issues, you know. It needs community organizers who can build support for sustainable projects. It needs entrepreneurs who can identify gaps and create solutions. And here's something very crucial for our Nigerian context. Many of these jobs can be created locally. Solar installations, for example, can't be outsourced to another country. Community-based waste management needs local expertise. Sustainable agriculture requires understanding of local soils and climate patterns. This means the green economy has the potential to create jobs that are both globally relevant and locally rooted, tailored and peculiar to our own, roots. That's a powerful combination. Now, Nigeria must prepare. So we have established the opportunity. Now let's talk about the gaps we need to bridge. I have distilled and analyzed, the opportunities we have. Now, what are the gaps we need to bridge? Our current education systems, for example. It is preparing students for yesterday's economy, that's the truth, not tomorrow's economy. How many of our secondary schools students actually really learn about renewable energy systems? How many universities, currently have business programs that actually look at courses on sustainable finance or circular economy principles? How many universities? We have brilliant vocational schools, but how many offer training in solar panel installation, green building techniques, or organic farming methods? Recently, I saw a documentary where a particular city in Brazil uses waste, to actually power, the city. And they use plastic as alternative to asphalt to make roads. Now, the truth is, the skills gap is real, and it's costing us opportunities right now. There's also a massive awareness problem. We have spoken to young people, countless young people, who do not even know that these things actually exist. Now, the truth is, the difference between knowing and doing is a thin line. Now, they have heard of jobs like sustainability analysts, and of course, carbon credit traders or environmental compliance officers. But these gaps also represent opportunities for solutions. First, we need to actually revolutionize our approach to education. How do we change it? There has to be a revolution to that. Climate literacy should be integrated into our curricula at all levels. We need partners between educational institutions and green economy employers to ensure graduates have relevant skills. And of course, we need green entrepreneurs. The hubs can be fixed, yes, incubator hubs, and this can be for young people. Imagine incubators that focus exclusively on sustainable businesses models all alone. That's what they do, providing not just funding, but also mentorship and market access. We need strong collaboration between public and private sectors on reskilling programs. If a coal plant is closing, the same engineers and technicians can be retrained for solar installations. If traditional farming is becoming less viable due to climate change, farmers can learn regenerative agricultural techniques. Also, our policymakers need to act with more urgency. The Ministries of Labor, Environment and Education should be working together on a national green skills strategy, for example. We need tax incentives for companies that hire and train workers in green skills. Imagine that knowing that hiring you because of a green skill, I would have like a tax incentive. I mean, who wouldn't like that? But we can't wait for perfect policies or perfect conditions. Some of the most exciting developments I'm seeing are happening at the grassroots level. Young entrepreneurs, starting sustainable businesses, communities organizing around, renewable energy projects, students demanding more climate education from their schools. The future of work isn't just happening to us. We can shape it. And here's to all the challenges, honestly. And my challenge to you is, wherever you are listening from, to the young people, I know the temptation to japa, yes, to leave Nigeria for opportunities elsewhere is real. I understand that impulse. It is palpable. I can literally feel it and understand how you think and what you're going through. But consider this: what if the biggest opportunities of your lifetime are right here, in building the green economy that Nigeria desperately needs? Don't just live. Learn, innovate, and build where you are. The problems we face are real, but they are also the source of our biggest opportunities. To government, officials, and of course, to policymakers, the future of work must be just, inclusive, and green. Invest accordingly. The choices you make today about education, infrastructure, and economic policy will determine whether our young people thrive or struggle for decades to come. To business leaders and stakeholders, collaboration, not isolation, is our best tool. No single organization can drive this transition alone. It's not possible. We need partnerships between government, business, education, and civil society. The green economy isn't coming someday. It's here now. The question is whether we'll be leaders or followers, solution creators or solution buyers. I believe in Nigeria, and to be honest, our ingenuity, has no doubts. There's no doubt about the average Nigerian ingenuity. I believe in African innovation, and I believe we can build an economy that works for people and planet. But belief isn't action, it's just hope. And hope without preparation is just a wishful thinking. Absolutely. The future of work is green. The future of Nigeria can be bright, but only if we act now. And as always, I thank you for joining me on Sustainability Pulse with Ebaide. Keep the conversation going, keep learning, and keep building the future we all want to see. Now, on Wednesday, we will be having someone here in the studio who would amplify the conversations and the upskilling game we have towards the conversation on the future of work. I want you all to tune in. This might just be your time. This is actually our time. So honestly, I am here to remind you that the opportunities are abound. The future of work is evolving. It is changing. The future of work is here right now. All we need to do is to ensure that we actually tap it. And of course, I am reminding you as usual that sustainability isn't just a buzzword. It's about saving the planet. It's about creating the life you want to live in. And I tell people all the time, when it has to do with sustainability, you're not talking about, preserving the earth alone. The truth is, the earth will remain. The planet is always here. We're the ones that will live. So look at it from this angle. Preserving the planet, saving the environment is like saving your life. Think of it from that angle. Saving the environment is you saving your life, because you will die, you will live here, but the environment will remain. So at the end of the day, our actions, our inactions, our activities should be a constant reminder on how we want to live. If we want to live on this earth in a clean and just environment, in a very refreshing environment, or want to remain here and live in a polluted environment and of course live and just die. But think about it from that angle. You are saving your life. Sustainability is not for the rich. It's not a buzzword. It is real. Climate change is real. It is happening right here and now. And imagine that world trying to save the environment while creating opportunities to thrive. The future of work is here. And of course, by all means, we're here with it. Until next time, Wednesday by the same time, 9 a.m., the conversation around the future of work continues. Let's see the opportunities we can bring to the fore for Nigerians and of course for young Africans across the continent. Until next time, it's Ebaide, and do not forget to live responsibly, Sustainability is the way forward. I tell you all the time, as simple as using a reusable bag, as simple as refusing single-use plastic, as simple as switching off your lights. All of these things contribute to your own quota, to sustainability. Do not forget at all that living sustainability or living sustainably, of course, means you're actually preserving your life. Until next time, I'm Ebaide as usual. I'll come constantly with these conversations to urge you, to guide you, to create awareness, to ensure that we are all on board on this, and the world, Nigeria, Africa, of course, will be a better place for our children, our children's children, and of course beyond us. Until next time, see you on Wednesday by 9 a.m. Do not go anywhere. Go do your research on the future of work. See the possibilities, the endless possibilities. Until next time, see you on Wednesday.
In the heart of our fields lies the future of agriculture, sustainable, innovative, and powered by smart solutions. From the rich soil of Africa to high-tech farms around the globe, agriculture is evolving to meet the demands of tomorrow. At the intersection of tradition and technology, we discover smarter ways to grow more, waste less, and harvest greener. Together, we are cultivating a future where every harvest sustains the earth and its people. Join us 9:30 a.m. Monday to Fridays on Aso TV, channel 392 DSTV, Star Times, channel 127, or YouTube live stream, GSA Initiative. Agriculture for today and tomorrow, as we share groundbreaking ideas, empowering farmers, and celebrate greenhouse solutions. Together, let's grow the future. In the heart of our fields lies the future of agriculture, sustainable, innovative, and powered by smart solutions. From the rich soil of Africa to high-tech farms around the globe, Agriculture is evolving to meet the demands of tomorrow. At the intersection of tradition and technology, we discover smarter ways to grow more, waste less, and harvest greener. Together, we are cultivating a future where every harvest sustains the earth and its people. Join us 9:30 a.m. Monday to Fridays on Aso TV, channel 392 DSTV, Star Times, channel 127, or YouTube live stream, GSA Initiative. Agriculture for today and tomorrow, as we share groundbreaking ideas, empowering farmers, and celebrate greener solutions. Together, let's grow the future. In the heart of our fields lies the future of agriculture, sustainable, innovative, and powered by smart solutions. From the rich soil of Africa to high-tech farms around the globe, agriculture is evolving to meet the demands of tomorrow.
We are a nation blessed with people of diverse cultures, religions, languages, and opinions. It is ironic that we are now being ripped apart by our greatest strength, our diversity. We have allowed intolerance, insensitivity, bigotry, and nepotism to blind our vision of the greatness we can achieve working together as one. We may not have the same culture, nor religion, nor language, but we all belong to the same.
In the heart of our fields lies the future of agriculture, sustainable, innovative, and powered by smart solutions. From the rich soil of Africa to high-tech farms around the globe, agriculture is evolving to meet the demands of tomorrow. At the intersection of tradition and technology, we discover smarter ways to grow more, waste less, and harvest greener. Together, we are cultivating a future where every harvest sustains the earth and its people. Join us 9:30 a.m. Monday to Fridays on Aso TV, channel 392 DSTV, Star Times, channel 127, or YouTube live stream, GSA Initiative. Agriculture for today and tomorrow, as we share groundbreaking ideas, empowering farmers, and celebrate greener solutions. Together, let's grow the future.
Hello and welcome to today's episode of Agriculture for Today and Tomorrow. Welcome. Here we always promote smart harvest, promote smart solutions for greener harvest. I remain Daniel Black, your host. Today we are going to be taking agricultural news around Nigeria, things that have been happening, updating you on things that have been going on around Nigeria, and how you as a farmer, wherever you are in Nigeria, can key into the different advances, the different initiatives that are going on around Nigeria. Remember, this program is a Media for Agricultural Development project of GSAI, that's Growth for Sustainable Agriculture Initiative. So we will be going into our first agricultural news for today. Yes, in this news, Oyo State takes a bold agricultural transformation drive by flagging of Oyo Agribusiness Hub over the weekend. Oyo Agribusiness Hub was being flagged up by Governor Seyi Makinde, and we had in attendance of that very, very elaborate meeting, we had the president of the African Development Bank, Mr. Adeshino. We had the Honorable Minister of Agriculture and Food Security, and a host of other key stakeholders in the agricultural sphere, where they were encouraging and hailing Governor Makinde for taking this strive in creating an agribusiness innovation hub. And you know, the importance of an agribusiness innovation hub is to support the local farmers within that community to begin to grow their farming, their agricultural endeavors as a business. And Seyi Makinde has promised that this hub is not just a fanfare. It is actually going to be working with local farmers to ensure that farming turns to a business and the value chain of agribusiness is correctly and fully utilized in the process. So this is a giant stride for farmers in Oyo State, and we would call on farmers in Oyo State to take charge to maximize the benefit of this agro-business hub, the trainings that they are going to get, the supports that they are going to get, and of course the business support schemes that are going to be coming off of that. And we call on other state governments to of course emulate this gesture to be able to support farmers within their community. Of course, the federal government is already doing things around this to ensure that there are agro-business hubs in the name of the federal government calls it SABs, special agro-processing zones across the country, to be able to bring down, to be able to domesticate the different agricultural inputs. There are different agricultural produces that are special to some different locations. So that's a very big one from Governor Seyi Makinde, and we in the agricultural sphere are very happy and proud of that initiative. Secondly, in our agricultural news update today, we'll also be looking at how the Federal Ministry of Livestock Development signed a partnership deal that has the ability to reduce Nigeria's 1.5 billion naira milk and dairy value chain imports. Nigeria over the years have been importing over 1.5 billion naira worth of milk and dairy products, and then this new partnership which has been signed, which was signed with the new Nigeria Development Company, together with the Federal Ministry of Livestock Development, is aimed at developing the dairy sector of livestock. And then this is supposed to ensure that there is a full and aggressive growth in the dairy production system in Nigeria. And this is a very welcome development, because Nigeria has a very robust livestock sector, a very robust dairy sector, but of course there has been no formalization of this sector. There are very few players in the field that have held, should I say, use the word monopoly over the field, but by the time we have new players coming into to level the playing ground for both the small scale players and the large scale players to be able to develop fully the dairy product, the dairy value chain of livestock, it's a very, very welcome development. And this agreement has been signed, and the minister was very excited. The representative of the new Nigeria Development Company was also very, very excited to have this partnership together. And then moving forward, we also have over the weekend, Kaduna State Governor Senator Uba Sani on Saturday, just over the weekend, he flagged off the state's 100,000 bags of fertilizer distribution to farmers across Kaduna State. And I don't know if you're a farmer in Kaduna State, if you have not heard of this, you need to reach out to your Ministry of Agriculture to also ensure that you are part of this. Giving fertilizer to farmers is also one of the ways to support farmers, because a whole lot of farmers, of course, we know how the raise in cost of input has made it so very, very burdensome on smallholder farmers to farm. So supporting them with fertilizer to boost their yields, to support their yields, is a very commendable one from the governor. And over 100,000 farmers will be benefiting from this fertilizer distribution. That is a very noble one. And of course, we had other stakeholders from the security unit, the religious unit, and other sectors in Kaduna State come to join hands with the governor to ensure that the exercise was a very successful one. And yes, there was pledge to make sure that this exercise goes down to the grassroots, and smallholder farmers actually benefit from this exercise. So a very big kudos to Governor Senator Uba Sani of Kaduna State. And then finally, on our news for today is the news for exporters. I'm sure if you're an exporter, you should be excited about this. That cashew nut exports surged to $398.135 million in Nigeria. So Nigeria in the first quarter, that's between January and March, actually exported cashew to the tune of $98.135 million. So, which is to show that cashew is a very potential, is a very potent export crop in Nigeria. So, if you were looking for where to invest, if you want to go into the export sector and you're looking for where to invest, you could also look into that. And then this information comes from the Nigerian Export Promotion Council as they launched their cashew exporters directory. So the Nigerian Export Promotion Council disclosed that cashew nut contributed to the country's non-oil export surge in the first quarter, and so this information was launched at as was given out during the official launch of the directory of cashew processors in Abuja. So this document, the directory of cashew processors, is very important, and of course not just cashew, every other produce in Nigeria. It's important we have a directory to increase reliability, transparency, and of course reduce the risk of people being cheated or people being scammed out of their money. So once your name or your company is on that export directory, it is deemed that you are known, government can guarantee for you, and you have been in the business and you understand the pros and cons of the business. That is the much we can take on agriculture on the agricultural updates today, on agriculture for today and tomorrow. My name remains Daniel Black, and I hope you have taken something today from farmers in Oyo State, farmers in Kaduna State, cashew exporters, and the likes. I hope you have picked something today to be able to go into agriculture and contribute your quota to the development of agriculture in Nigeria. You can follow us on social media to continue this conversation. Is there any other agri update that you know that we've not mentioned? Please put it on our social media handles at GSA Initiative on Facebook, on Instagram, and of course on YouTube. See you in the next episode.
In the heart of our fields lies the future of agriculture, sustainable, innovative, and powered by smart solutions. From the rich soil of Africa to high-tech farms around the globe, agriculture is evolving to meet the demands of tomorrow. At the intersection of tradition and technology, we discover smarter ways to grow more, waste less, and harvest greener. Together, we are cultivating a future where every harvest sustains the earth and its people. Join us 9:30 a.m. Monday to Fridays on Aso TV, channel 392 DSTV, Star Times, channel 127, or YouTube live stream GSA Initiative. Agriculture for today and tomorrow.